Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to Rated World. So today we have the Russ Wehrmont Designs RS-1 Shocks. So two legends in the off-road racing world with 70 plus years of combined experience, Russ Wehrmont and Walker Evans have come together to design and manufacture the new RS-1 Shocks. These shocks feature internal bypass technology, high-low speed compression, a 5/8 stainless steel shaft, billet piggyback reservoir, and high-quality iBox springs. They also have these shocks for Dynas, Sportsters, Softails, and FXRs. Currently, I do have the 13-inch for the touring bike, but they also carry other sizes. They also offer a standard and heavy-duty package. So for a standard package, you're looking at a solo rider or two up, 300 pounds or less. And for the heavy-duty package, you're looking at solo rider or two up, 300 pounds or more. Let's get this unboxed and installed on the bike. So here's what came in the box. You have your shocks, you have your mounting hardware, you have your left and right brackets that are gonna push this reservoir in so it doesn't interfere with your saddlebags. And you're also gonna reuse your stock bolts. It looks like I did not receive the adjustment wrench or the instructions, but for the adjustment wrench, you're just gonna use that here to adjust your shocks. But from my experience, you can just use your hands. As far as the instructions go, you can either watch a video or you can go directly on the website and download them there. So the tools I'm using, I do have a foot-pound torque wrench. I have an electric ratchet, a smaller and larger ratchet. I do have a 3/4 inch deep socket, 3/4 inch regular socket, and some Loctite. So you can use a scissor jack or a regular jack. You just want to get some weight off that swing arm. From here, I'll go ahead and remove both saddlebags. Before I start removing the shocks, I'll go ahead and cover up the exhaust so I'm not scratching them up. To remove the shock, I do have a ratchet with a 3/4 inch socket. What I'll do is loosen up this bolt and then I'll remove this one. That way your shock's not slapping around. Still using a 3/4 inch socket, I just have an electronic ratchet. You will reuse a stock bolt, just not the washer. So just make sure you're holding on to your shock when you're removing this top bolt. Same thing with this stock bolt, you'll reuse it, just not the washer. So I'll repeat the process exactly the same with this shock. So here we have our RS-1 shocks. So the reservoir is gonna mount towards the bottom. Just make sure when you're putting your pole back in that your tapered washer is pointing towards your pivot ball. So it'll sit like this. Same thing on this side, just make sure your tapered washer points towards your pivot ball. Also, don't forget to add Loctite. So I won't tighten it down all the way, I'll just loosely put it on there. So I'll adjust my jack until I get this bolt lined up. I was able to get everything lined up. We'll go ahead and take our bolt. We have our misalignment tab, or just our bracket, that's gonna push this reservoir in so it's not interfering with the saddlebags. So take your bolt, you'll put it through your misalignment tab first. Take your tapered washer. Make sure it's pointing towards the pivot ball. So you'll put this through your shock. You'll take your other tapered washer and it'll sit behind just like that. So you do have a left and right misalignment tab. Just make sure that this nut is facing outboard. Also, don't forget your Loctite. So when I was tightening this up, you can see that this misalignment tab or this bracket was pushing this reservoir in. I'll go ahead and finish tightening these down. Now that I have this mounted on here, I'll go ahead and torque it down. According to the service manual, it's 63 to 70 foot-pounds. I'll go ahead and torque it down at 67. So the exact same process on the other side. Here you have your tension adjusters. You have a red knob and a black knob. Your red knob, it comes preset in the wide open position, and you should only adjust it for extreme riding or racing. Your black knob, it's for your slow speed compression, and it has a wide range of adjustments. I believe it's 15 total clicks. I have it set all the way to the left. I'll go on a ride and adjust it from there. So after the shocks are installed and secure, it's time to set the preload. First, measure the length of the spring without the rider's weight. This is your free sag. So when you're measuring the length of the spring, you can always use a dry erase marker to see where you're at. So what you'll do next is sit on the bike and measure the length of the spring again. The suggested sag for baggers is a 1/2 inch. So when you're setting your sag, just make sure you're adjusting both springs equally. You can do it on a jack, but I'm gonna do it on the ground. It's pretty easy to turn these springs. From here, we'll go ahead and just throw the saddlebags back on. So when you're throwing your saddlebag back on, just make sure that it's not interfering with your shock or your reservoir. So now that we got the saddlebags back on, let's take it for a ride and see how they feel. So I had to do it. I went ahead and took the bags off. I set the GoPro up. Let's go on a ride and see how these things feel. So this is the first ride on those RS-1 shocks. After a few hundred miles, I'll go ahead and do another review on these, see how they hold up. So far, these things feel great. I've hit a couple potholes already. Obviously, we don't hit them on purpose, but these shocks are reacting to them good. I think Harley just knows that we're just gonna upgrade stuff on our motorcycles anyway, so they do the bare minimum. But if you look at those stock Harley shocks online, they're almost 600 bucks. That held on pretty good too. I didn't do a comparison video with the stock shocks, because if you have stock shocks now and you're looking for an upgrade, you already know how those feel. Most of the highways out in Florida aren't too bad. When I used to ride in California, some of those roads out there were awful, man. Even the highways, there was a lot of potholes and cracked roads. Either way, these shocks are handling pretty good. Hey guys, that was a fantastic ride. Just make sure after a few hundred miles, you check that preload again, just to make sure everything's set where it's supposed to be. I really hope that video was helpful. If you like it, make sure you click that like button. And if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit that bell notification so when I put up a new video, you guys get notified. I'll see you on the next one.